And now I'd like to invite my two coworkers at the stage, Lauren and Gezim, to come chat with us about how better thinking has led them and their businesses to better outcomes. Amazing. Thanks for joining us, Lauren, Gezim.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having us.
Of course. Quick introductions before we begin.
Well, thank you for having us. Tom, Ken, Sonia, and the entire team, thank you. My name is Gezim, founder and CEO of ZPaid, a bill pay aggregator for financial institutions and end customers. And been an entrepreneur my whole life. Moved to Canada about 18 and a half years ago. Went on to an entrepreneurship in restaurants, construction, did retail, and then afterwards did some education at Wilfrid Laurier University. And here I am building ZPaid, a bill pay aggregator.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lauren.
Awesome. I also went to Laurier, so
There
that's
you go.
cool.
To Laurier.
I'm Lauren. Nice to meet you all. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ACE. We are a talent training and placement platform, so we help tech talent feel more confident and more prepared going into their interviews. I've also been an entrepreneur for a decent amount of time now because my personal and professional outlook on life is to create something out of nothing, and I've always been passionate about that. So it's driven me to the things that I do in my personal life and with ACE today. That's a bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. One more round of applause. Fantastic. So why don't we start with you, Lauren? Can you tell us a little bit about your company's mission and vision, just because I spoke about all that?
Yeah, I was going to say, it ties in really well, so I'd be happy to. So our mission and vision is all around giving the stage that people deserve who don't typically get access to it. People who are coming from underrepresented communities, people who are coming from areas where they're not always getting access to opportunity. When we started this business, it was actually because my co-founder and I were in interviews time and time again where we were stumbling over our words, we were too nervous to speak, we didn't have the right communication skills to succeed, even though we were perfectly fit for the job, or so we thought. And so we came to realize this is not an easily taught skill, but it's something that you need for jobs, for getting promotions, for being a leader in any respect. And so that's why we set out to build ACE. But then as this mission evolved, we realized that people need more than just the communication skills training. They need access to opportunity. They need someone to give them that launch pad to get to the next opportunity. And they need to be given the equal stage to do really well because they have the talent, but they need to be put on the stage in order to do so. So that is what drives our business each and every day.
Such an important thing, like starting with yourself and making sure that you're able to sort of build something that you know is a struggle, even for yourself. Totally, thanks for sharing. Gezim, what about you?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren, for sharing that. Actually, you touched on design, and I remember taking a course on design thinking at Stanford University. So a lot of that correlates with what you just said there. So thank you for sharing all that. When I started building ZPaid, really, I oppose borders. I oppose being bound by geography, by saying this is where you belong and this is it. You should not have access anywhere else. And so when we built ZPaid, it was really with one goal in mind: be the bank that travels with you. Wherever you are, you don't need to be, you're in Austria, Italy, you're an expat, or you're living for 1 year or 2 years. You don't need to start doing banking there, build relationships. You have a bank that travels with you wherever you go. You're paying bills, you're using that card, and it's just basically an all-inclusive payment platform. And again, that's the whole reasoning behind building ZPaid, is really saving money for end customers and only spend what you can and only spend or use whatever is available to you wisely. I had, when I was running a restaurant business in Waterloo, 19 of 21 employees, and this is when I moved to Canada, I was 20 at the time, were students from Laurier and University of Waterloo. And they were all like, hey, Dad, pay my bills, or hey, Mom, send me funds to pay my credit card, and things like that. And so and I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I can't wait for those times to come where we just basically, they outsource us and we pay everything for them. But it's truly something that we rely on other people to kind of help us out as we grow, whether it's academic growth or professional growth, or you just move to a new country. And so just in all, it's basically providing an ecosystem where all these can happen simultaneously, and you can live your life wherever you are. So that's really what this is all about.
Amazing, yeah. And I'll sort of continue on that a little bit, just because you talked about challenges with, having a family and other people sort of asking their parents about money and that sort of thing as well. So as founders, what have you found are some traits that, are most important to you?
I think balancing work life is very crucial, very important. As you're building, as you're scaling, those things are very important, and it's really trying to be present wherever you can, and whatever you're prioritizing. Obviously, it's that opportunity cost. If there is someone here in economics where you're leaving something for something else, unless it's really truly valuable, to make that sense of that timing that you're spending. Otherwise, it's really balancing life and friends and business, and just get to grow everything concurrently. But it doesn't mean that you're doing something and then you just got to step back of everything else. We all have social life. And actually, my wife and I work together from 9 to 5, and then 5 to 9 a.m. in the morning, we're partners. And so it's really, we have to be able to work together. We have to balance our life. We have to balance life with friends. But again, just really pick on what's really important. And I think for me, it's the courage and the help and the support I have from family is immense. And that has been a grateful time to get through what we've gone through. And as founders, you get through a lot. And every single day, 9 to 5, every single day, all the rejections and all the no's that you get from 9 to 5 can be overwhelming at times. But really, resilience, when we talk about resilience, is understanding, validating that point or that idea or that business that you're in. If you have some sort of validation, keep on going. Again, blank resilience, it's not something you want to just say, yeah, I don't want to give up because I want to see the end of this. Failing fast is also very important in terms of your economic output into something that might not be relevant, or things might change, or dynamics of the ecosystem might change. But I think in all, it's the support you get from family, friends, during the stage of build and growth is very important.
Amazing. What about you?
Yeah, I was going to say, just to add on to that, I couldn't agree more. Something that was really interesting for us as we started building the business, as we continue building the business and going forward, is the driving value for us is our why. Like, why do we care to wake up every single morning, do this time and time again, get through the ups, get through the downs, get through everything in between, like you said. And for us, it's always about the why. So that's what gets us through the toughest part. But what I didn't anticipate, or what I didn't expect, was all these decisions you have to make about your life. Because even for my co-founder and myself, one of the first things that we had to decide was around this idea of, do we go out and raise venture funding, or do we go and bootstrap this business? And yes, obviously it's a financial decision, but there's a lot that comes with that, with your personal lifestyle as well. Because that's where the different decisions come into place. You're sacrificing time and relationship and things like that with either option, but it's how you go about it. And so one thing that I was super against from the start, that I still am, is this toxic startup culture that's all around, if you're not spending 18 hours a day on your business, then you're never gonna make it, this, that. For us, it was coming back to our why. What do we care about? It was our relationships, our health, our mental well-being, all of those things. And how do we incorporate that to make sure that this business is not just a quick raise money, get in, get out, be done, but actually build something long-term and sustainable that actually impacts people. So for us, all comes down to exactly what you mentioned, with the driving value of why are we doing this, and why does that drive every decision we make.
Mm-hmm. And both of you, whoever wants to sort of take this on first, but are these skills that you acquired before you started your startup journeys, or were they things that you learned along the way?
I think it's a lot of them is things you learn along the way. And I've had businesses in the past, but I get surprised every day with what I learn. It's not a lot of things you have to kind of have hands-on experience. Actually, the best thing that happened to me was last year I was away for almost a month with a family, almost completely separated from business. And just things you kind of, when you step back, things that you see, really how you want to build business help. And so I think to your point, Lauren, of, if you're not putting in 18 hours a day, you're really not going to make it anywhere. One thing is for certain, in any kind of founder build, it's kind of you're racing towards your death. We know that statistics speaking, it's 90% or whatever that of all the founders and startups that fail. So you're kind of racing towards that. But yes, you have to work hard, but also it's very, very crucially important to be able to step back and see and get the validation and the output, and be. It's hard not to be biased with your own product. It's hard to say that what I'm building sucks. It's hard to say that to yourself. But I think that was something I learned along the way. We went on B2C initially. It was, yes, this is a reflection moment. I'm not equipped to service this direct-to-consumer stuff. Right. And so really learning that and then revamping and iterating the product to kind of go what really matters is very important. And I think this is the hardest thing, that as a founder, you kind of have to be true and honest to yourself first and utmost. And those are skills that you just learn along the way.
So like acceptance of failure and knowing that it's okay to do that, and then getting up the next day and just saying, you know what,
100%,
that happened.
100%. And
Yeah.
it's our baby. We work really hard. We want to make sure that we see the end of this, and you don't want to hear anything that anyone has to say that's negative, but rather you just want to hear someone that says good things and pats your back along the way as you're going through burning cash, capital, and your emotions and your time. But I think staying true to yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, does this really work? Is this really going to work? Is really the best thing that could happen to a founder.
As long as you say it, not anybody else.
As long as you say it to yourself, yes.
Right, amazing. What about you, Lauren?
Yeah, again, everything you say I agree with, as per usual, but I agree. There's so many skills that I think you bring to the table when you start a venture, but there's so many things you learn along the way. And I feel I myself am humbled every single day, because you think you've dealt with the biggest fire there is, and then another one pops up, and you just got to keep going. But one of the most interesting things I learned along the way was challenging my own beliefs and my values before I started the business. And the best example of this was, aside from the fact that I just said that you shouldn't be working 18 hours a day, obviously there are some days like that. When you have to get to launch, you gotta be just hitting the ground running. And I remember there was this time that we were on this sprint for about 2 months where we were getting everything ready for a big client. It was a huge launch, all this stuff. And one of my mentors told me, I know you are in the busiest time of what could possibly be in your business, but I need you to take 2 days completely not answering anything. Go either to up north or somewhere different from where you're typically working, and just take the time to relax. And I was like, are you crazy? That is nuts. How could I be 2 days away from, when we are literally 40 days away from launching this thing?
Right.
But it was the greatest experience for me possible, because I came back fresh. I came back with new ideas. And I never would have thought about that before, but it also taught me the value of, again, our why, coming back to what's important to us, and having to relearn all the time. You're never staying in one stagnant position. You're always learning, you're always going. So that experience really taught me, okay, I'm not really sure all these things that I know. I'm just going to keep going and keep learning and keep upskilling on my values and my why.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're sort of within the day-to-day, sometimes you forget the why, right? Because you're just focused on solving the problems, or, taking out the fires that are, as part of the day-to-day of a startup. So I guess to that point, what are some things that you did not let go of throughout the journey? So were there any things that you thought were part of who made you you, and or were you able to sort of keep a balance of those things along the way? Something that's non-negotiable, both of you.
For me, it was really you meet along the way. There's all sorts of networking and people that you meet that there are true friends, there are people that want to help, there are people that can help but don't want to help, and there are people that will just not help. And so I think for me it was truly trying to differentiate between those groups of networks where do you get the most value out of something? Do you want to chase a lead, or do you want to chase something that's going to yield no results at the end of the day? I think I've learned a lot, and I shared this in one of engagements before. I went to a conference in Vegas. This was Money 2020, and met a VC. This is as I was starting to build ZPaid. Met a VC in New York City, from New York City, and we were talking. He's very impressed with what I'm building, and I'm extremely excited because someone wants to talk to me. And so we chat, and then he's like, I want you to meet so-and-so. He's also a founder, but I really value what he has to say. And so then he'll update me, and then we'll get through this. So I go to meet this founder. This guy is coming towards to meet me, and then we're talking to each other, and we ended up pitching to each other. So he really did the same thing to the other guy. Go meet this founder, talk to him, and then I'll get value from him, and I'll assess that. And then we're like, are we pitching to each other? And like, you know, this, you just realize that there are people out there that want to help, but really don't have capacities to help. They don't want to say no. And so I think this is the one thing that I've learned from that time is, you know, you go after something that has true value. At the end of the day, you see end result, because it can be time wasting and consuming emotionally. And I think the resilience piece, to your point of not letting things go, again, every single day that I wake up, we have rejections left and right, but we have validations. And so those validations really resonate with me, and I know what we're building. I know that I'm not going to let any of those stay in between. You have people that support you, and just keep on pushing every day.
Amazing. Lauren, for you?
Yeah, along the way, I found that there was things that gave me positive energy and things that gave me negative energy. Negative energy, all the rejections, they suck. But it was also, how do you combat that with finding something that will help you kind of recenter, refocus, and again, push through things every day, like you mentioned. And it took me a while to figure that out and what goes where. So for example, hanging out with my friends, my partner, and my family, that brings me a lot of positive energy and helps me kind of rebalance. So those are non-negotiables for me. Another thing is things like my morning routine. It seems not like hugely impactful, but even getting through the perfect morning routine when I know I'm going to feel really good and clear and ready to go after that means that it became an absolute non-negotiable. There's all these things that I know now as a result. Again, you have to go through it, and I have to realize what those things were. But now that I know, I basically use that as my guiding thing through the ups and the downs to make sure that I'm always sticking through it and holding myself accountable to that. But I call them non-negotiables because before I used to be like, okay, I can't go to this because I have to work on this, or I have to choose one or the other. But now it's, how do I make space for both? Because I know that it brings me the energy that I need to get through to the next thing. So I feel like if I guide myself by those positive energies, then it gets me through the positive and the negative, because staying humble through the positive and getting through the negative.
So important. Amazing. Good balance. Thank you so much, well, both of you.
And just one more thing I want to add quickly. When we said about being surrounded with people that support you, huge shout out to Sneha, Donna from Idea Mississauga. They are very helpful, and they've been always helpful along the way. iCube team, Mo, Ignacio, Caleb, and double shout out to Mo. He is a phenomenal individual. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. And those people that really are around, we recognize those, and when we get a chance to not be overly stressed, we see really who really adds value to what you're building.
That's the positive energy right there.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you so much. That was awesome. For the crowd, any questions from the crowd?
Steve Rohn. For both of you, if you went back and started your journey again, what's the one thing you would do differently? what's the biggest learning and takeaway from your experience?
I love that question. Thank you so much for asking that question. And the reason is I have startups founders talk to me about when they are starting up. I had someone from legal tech. He's very good. He's a tech savvy. He works in a legal industry. He's like, I want to build this and this and that. And I'm like, just hold your horses. First and foremost, what I would do is I would not waste about 6 or 7 months trying to build something that no one wants. And so I think I would have saved a lot of time if I had someone tell me, hey, first, if you're targeting lawyers, go talk to those lawyers that are not actually your customers and ask them, would you buy this for $1? So validation, really, when you start building, is the key. It's the most crucial thing, and the best thing you can learn is really to be able to validate what you're building. And I think this was something that has cost me time, and if I were to redo something again, definitely that's one thing I would redo. Thank you.
That was actually exactly what I was about to say, so he took my answer.
Gezim, you've
But-
been doing that too much.
He's too good.
No, but it's true. Like
It's very true.
We all shared, like, this is really a true pain point, I think, for you.
Yeah, I think, and the funny thing is, when we got started, people told me this, but I think I still had to make the mistake again myself, where truly you should be falling in love with the problem, not the solution. And time again, we have to learn that. Another thing that I realize is we have to continuously stay of that mindset, not just at the beginning of building the business. Because at the beginning of our business with Ace, we were thinking, okay, we want to build this beautiful whole thing, only to realize people didn't really want that. So it was a harsh truth, and we had to be okay with that failure and just keep getting back up and finding what they truly did want. So the more and more we focus on the problem and not thinking of the beautifully designed solution that just had all the bells and whistles, that has what's gotten us to where we are right now. And if I were starting all over again, that would be the exact same advice that I give too.
And just to add to that, you have a lot of people that go, especially if they are D2C, they're selling to direct-to-consumers, they're like, okay, we're going to give people 3 months trial, they're going to try our product, they're going to come back and buy the product. It never works. So the trial period doesn't work. That's not a validation. You can give me 6 months, 1 year trial. As soon as that ends, on the 11:59 p.m., I'm going to call and cancel that. Because it's just, trials never work. It very rarely work. What really works is, as you get the product out, would you pay $1 for this? It's different between saying it's a great idea and saying I would pay $1 for this. So would you put your money into this? If you get a yes, that's a winner.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for great presentation and the panel. Since it started with actually design part, I would ask both of you that how are your designers involving for this problem and solution process, and what are their perspectives to put in, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I can start with that one. So our team of designers is right here. So I am it. And the benefit to that, even though I'm doing like the sales, the marketing, everything, the benefit to that is that it really comes down to understanding the problems that they're facing and what they're looking for. And our customers humble us every day by telling us something new. Even something they wanted yesterday is different from what they want today. And so every time we're working on something, it's just that constant feedback loop. Like there's nothing else that will get us to something that they really want. And so one nice thing about our platform is that because we're doing upskilling and placement, we have a community chat feature. So we chat to people about job opportunities, the communication skills training, the cultural training, all of that. And part of our service to them is getting that feedback. And so that implements every single part of design, because even myself, using all these products every day, like the iPhone interface, all these beautifully designed things, you come to realize that the more simple and effortless it is, the more complex the thinking was behind of it. And so that's what we're trying to get to right now. But even what's funny is that I thought we had to have everything beautifully designed right from the start. It actually wasn't that way. As long as we accomplish the job to be done, which is getting them a job, then we get from point A to point B. And then we put the bells and whistles afterwards. So the team of designers always talks to the customers. And I just have the feedback loop, and then I bring it back to sales, then I bring it back to finance, bring it back everywhere. So yeah, that's what we do.
And I'll just quickly, shortly add to Lauren's point. I think the design thinking piece is really bringing something that solves a pain point, rather than bringing something and trying to push it to people. And so whatever that might be, so it's getting that feedback, getting that customer frustration, and then designing a product around it is really what makes a product stand out. So we go by that value as well. We design a product based on the people's need. I had a meeting at a banker's summit, and so this was a while back, months back, and I'm talking to one of the executives from a bank, and as we're chatting, he's mentioned something about a frustration, a pain point around bill pay aggregation, aggregating bills. And I'm like, wait a second, you know, like those, you go to those shops where you're buying clothes, and the tailor it goes like, wait a second, I have something in the back that you might want to try. And so it's that, okay, I can recognize that issue. I have something that I can build around it, and then we can connect in a few months. So it's really talking to people and really seeing what the pain points are. What are the key issues that they were struggling with? You know, and when you're talking to a lot of businesses, we deal with FIs, we deal with enterprise customers, but when we're talking to them, it's really, the first thing that they ask is, how much am I saving for this? Like, what is my cost on this? They don't care about bells and whistles and you get same features with the same value, or we enhance your features, blah, blah, blah. It's same value or more with less cost. And so it comes down to the dollar value when you're talking to any prospects. It's solving a problem that's valuable, and then obviously a price point that they can afford.
I love, Lauren, that you said that, you know, the non-negotiable at your young age, already kind of realizing that. That's great as an entrepreneur, because we want to just dig in and do everything and solve and solve and solve and keep working not 9 to 5, 9 to 9, 24 hours. So speaking of that, what keeps you up at night right now? In your journey right now as entrepreneurs, what's keeping you up at night? What's your biggest challenge?
A lot keeps me up at night. No, I'm kidding. That's a great question. I really like that, because I think that changes all the time, to be honest. For us right now, we are expanding into a new market, like a new geographic region. And I find I'm always put in a new situation or a new context. And so what I literally try to do is make sure that I get a good sleep, because I need to show up the next day with full energy. So what I try and tell myself is what is really top of mind, what's burning at the top of my mind, what's stressing me out, figure out why it's stressing me out so much, and then get to the bottom of it and say, okay, it's case closed until tomorrow. Nothing is going to change between now and tomorrow morning. And for us, as we explore this new challenge, it's really trying to figure out how do we, I guess, operate in a whole different context, because we haven't done something like this before. We've got a new product offering, we're going into a new area, we're trying to figure out all these things that are new. And also, in that whole thing of what keeps you up at night, you also have the imposter syndrome creep in, and you have the self-doubt and things like that. So it's kind of even putting myself through a routine of thinking through what's keeping me up at night, and working through the things that are asking myself, why do I feel that way? How do I get over this? And how do I squash this right now so that I can have a good sleep, wake up tomorrow morning and deal with it? So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great. And for me, it would be my 2 kids and my wife when I piss her off during the day. But in general, really, what my heart pounds thinking of, you know, we do a penetration testing of our system 24/7. We have teams running from different countries on different time zones. But really, and then we get that 99% is effective. There is 1% chance of a call that has been done in the system of failure on 10,000 or 100,000 hits. And so for me, it's that 1% that really keeps me up at night. It's like, what if, you know, my system fails? What if I disappoint a customer? What if, and those are large customers. And so it's really, I don't think this, even if you hire the best of the best, as the founder, I think it's always that stress and anxiety over the performance of your service, of your people, of your business, and how you want to exceed expectations at all times with those customers. So this is really, truly something that I go to sleep with and I wake up in the morning.
Hi, my name is Fatih. I'm also an entrepreneur. What's your best getaway against burnout?
Sorry, say it again. I didn't hear.
What's your best getaway against burnout? What do you do to
Oh,
prevent
okay,
burnout?
So I think having again life-work balance is very important. Working hard and working smart is also very important. Having a set schedule, 9 to 5 or wherever that might be, where you're putting the most of work, even if you're an entrepreneur, and then really having a life afterwards. It's really just disconnecting with business. And I tend to do, especially for long periods of time, once a year, but even during the week, it's like after 5 o'clock. For me, it's really engagement with friends and family and things that really keep me calm and happy. And so we have rough days. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We always have rough days. There's a good day is a single and really, really far in between. And so I think it's really getting to understand that there has to be a separation between what you're doing and the life that you have, because really what truly matters in life is what makes you happy. For me, what makes me happy is my business, but a huge part of my life is really the things that happen outside the business, which is family, friends, etc.
Just to add on to that quickly, like I mentioned before, spending time with my family, partner, friends, people I care around me is important. But one thing that I started doing that has actually really helped is I journal every single day, whether it's there's nothing that's coming to mind, or I'm stressed about something, or I'm happy about something. And as I looked back on my journal over the past year, I actually could see the points where I was hitting that max, or where I was kind of getting to the end of my patience and my ability to keep calm and keep cool and keep everything together. And I decided, okay, when I start to see those patterns form, or when I start to see those indicators as I like to think about them, I will do something to deal with it right away. And actually that mentor who told me to take 2 days off in the busiest time of our business, that was such an incredible piece of advice that now I do it every like 2 to 3 months, just as like a reset, even like a thinking, brainstorming period of time. Like I'll go either up north or on not a like vacation, but like somewhere away from where I'm typically working. And no phones, no technology, just sitting there, meditation, journaling, just being away and thinking about whatever it is that I want. But implementing those kinds of, I guess, routines or regimens in my life has really helped, just because you can get caught up in the everyday and then you reach burnout and you're like, oh no, what do I do now? So that has actually really helped. And I find that that also goes hand in hand with spending time with the people that you care and love for and the things that bring you that positivity. So just keeping a check on myself, basically.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Lauren Gezim.